Before we start, here's how to use this practice. Listen once, then say each line out loud in your own voice. Speak clearly, not quickly. If you miss a line, don't rewind. Just keep going and let your brain catch up. These sentences are used daily in meetings, emails, and work conversations. Let's build your workplace fluency one sentence at a time. Meeting basics. Let's get started. Thanks for making time today. I appreciate everyone joining on short notice. Can everyone hear me clearly? Can you see my screen? Let's review the agenda quickly. The goal today is to align on next steps. Let's focus on the most important items first. We'll leave time at the end for questions. Let's start with a brief update from each team. I'll share context before we dive in. Just to confirm, we're meeting for 30 minutes. If anything is unclear, please stop me. I'll keep this concise and action-focused. Does everyone have the latest version of the document? Clarifying and aligning. 16. Let's make sure we're talking about the same scope. 17. Just to be clear, this is for Q3, not Q2. 18. When I say launch, I mean the customer-facing release. 19. Can we align on definitions before we decide? 20. What's the main outcome we want from this meeting? 21. Are we aligned on priorities? 22. I'd like to hear different perspectives. 23. Who wants to start? 24. Let's go around for quick input. 25. What risks do you see? 26. I'm open to other options if there's a better path. 27. I agree with that direction. 28. I understand, but I have a concern. 29. I'm worried about the timeline and customer impact. 30. Could you share the data behind that? 31. Let's separate facts from assumptions. Decision-making and next steps. 32. What would success look like? 33. How are we measuring results? 34. Let's agree on success metrics. 35. What's the minimum we can deliver safely? 36. Would a smaller pilot reduce risk? 37. Let's weigh the pros and cons. 38. Can we confirm ownership and deadlines? 39. Who's best positioned to lead this task? 40. Let's assign an owner and due date. 41. I'll take this if no one else is free. 42. Could you draft this and share it? 43. Let's summarize options and decide today. 44. Option 1 is faster but riskier. Option 2 is safer but slower. 45. Does anyone strongly disagree? 46. If no objections, we'll move forward. Follow-up and communication. 47. I'll send a recap after this call. 48. Please correct me if I missed anything. 49. Let's confirm deadlines for each action item. 50. What support do you need from me? 51. Are there dependencies we should note? 52. Let's document the decision for clarity later. 53. Can we revisit this in 2 weeks? 54. I'll share a calendar invite shortly. 55. Thanks for your input today, it was productive. 56. Please message me if you think of anything else. Emails and chat messages. 57. I'm following up on my previous message. 58. Just checking if you had a chance to review this. 59. When you have a moment, could you share your thoughts? 60. I wanted to flag this since the deadline is approaching. 61. Could you share an update by end of day? 62. I'm writing to confirm what we agreed on. 63. As discussed, we'll proceed with the updated plan. Following up and confirming. 106. Thank you for your time and support. 107. Could you confirm you received the document? 108. Please let me know if the attachment didn't come through. 109. I've attached the latest version for your review. 110. For your reference, here's the updated timeline. 111. Can you confirm the expected delivery date? 112. What's the status of this request? 113. Are we still on track to complete this by Friday? 114. If there's any risk to the timeline, please let me know today. 1:15, if you need more time, we can adjust the plan. Quick calls and alignment. 116. I'm happy to discuss this live if that's easier. 117. Would a quick call help us align faster? 118. Do you have 10 minutes today to sync? 119. I'm available this afternoon if you'd like to talk. 120. Please let me know what time works best for you. Clarifying requests. 121. I'd like to clarify one point before we proceed. 122. To confirm, you're asking for the final version by Wednesday, correct? 123. Just to make sure I understand, the scope includes items A and B only. 124. If I'm misunderstanding, please correct me. 125. Here's my current understanding of the request. Action and drafts. 126. Based on your note, I'll move forward with the updated approach. 127. I'll start on this today and share a draft shortly. 128. I can send a first draft by tomorrow morning. 129. I'll prioritize this and keep you posted. 130. I'll follow up with a status update by end of day. Acknowledging and agreeing. 131. Thanks for the quick turnaround. 132. I appreciate you getting back to me so fast. 133. That works for me. 134. Yes, I'm aligned with that plan. 135. I'm good with moving forward as proposed. 136. I support this direction. Questions and requests. 137. I have a few questions before we finalize. 138. Could you clarify the expected output format? 139. Do you have an example we can reference? 140. If you have a sample, please send it so we can align on the format. Managing deadlines and dependencies. 141. I'm not able to meet that deadline as written. 142. I can meet it if we reduce the scope. 143. If the scope stays the same, we'll need an extension. 144. The earliest I can deliver this is Monday. 145. Would it work if I send a partial update today and the full version tomorrow? 146. I want to set expectations early to avoid surprises. 147. There's a dependency we need resolved first. 148. We are currently blocked by access approvals. 149. Once access is granted, we can proceed immediately. 150. If we don't get a response by midday, I'll escalate it. Prioritizing and looping in. 151. Could you please prioritize this request? 152. This is time sensitive, so I'd appreciate a quick response. 153. If you can't get to it today, please let me know when you can. 154. I'm flexible on the approach, but we need a decision by tomorrow. 155. Please reply also everyone stays aligned. 156. I'm looping in the team for awareness. 157. I'm adding James here since he owns this area. 158. I'm copying my manager for visibility. 159. Let's keep all updates in this thread. 160. To avoid confusion, please respond within this thread. Action items and responsibilities. 161. Here are the next steps as I understand them. 162. Action item 1. Review the draft by Thursday. 163. Action item 2. Confirm the final requirements. 164. Action item 3. Schedule the kickoff meeting. 165. Please confirm these action items are accurate. 166. If you approve, I'll proceed with implementation. 167. If you have concerns, please share them today. 168. I'd rather address issues now than later. Changes and approvals. 169. This is a small change, but it affects the timeline. 170. This update will impact the reporting workflow. 171. Can you confirm who the decision maker is? 172. Who should sign off on the final version? 173. Do we need legal review before sending this to the client? 174. Please advise on the approval process. 175. I'll wait for your confirmation before moving forward. 176. I'm holding off until we align on scope. Feedback and corrections. 177. Thanks for pointing that out. I've updated the doc. 178. I've incorporated your feedback in the latest draft. 179. Please review the highlighted changes. 180. If this looks good to you, I'll finalize it and share it. 181. I'm sorry for the delay and thanks for your patience. 182. Apologies for the confusion. Let me clarify. 183. That was my mistake, and I've corrected it. 184. I take responsibility for the oversight. 185. Here's what I'm doing to prevent this going forward. 186. We ran into an unexpected issue, but it's now resolved. 187. We're back on track and monitoring closely. 188. I'll keep you updated if anything changes. 189. Please let me know if you have any concerns. 190. If you see it differently, please share your perspective. Small adjustments and summaries. 191. I'd like to propose a small adjustment to the plan. 192. The revised plan reduces risk and keeps us on schedule. 193. I can share a short summary if helpful. 194. For convenience, here's a one-paragraph summary. 195. I'm happy to revise this based on your input. 196. If you approve, I'll send the final version today. 197. I'll close the loop once this is completed. 198. Thanks again for your partnership on this. 199. I appreciate your collaboration and quick responses. 200. Let me know you received this and I'll move forward. Scheduling and syncing. 201. Are you free for a quick sync today? 202. Do you have a few minutes to talk this through? 203. What does your calendar look like this week? 204. Can we meet tomorrow morning? 205. I'm available between 2 and 4 p.m. 206. If that time doesn't work, feel free to suggest another. 208. Could we move this meeting later in the week? 209. I need to reschedule due to a conflict. 210. Thanks for being flexible. 211. I'll send an updated invite with the new time. 212. Can we keep this meeting to 15 minutes? 213. Let's focus on decisions and keep it short. 214. We can handle the details asynchronously over email. 215. I'll share a pre-read so we can move faster. 216. Please review the document before the meeting. 217. If possible, add comments directly in the doc. 218. I'll consolidate feedback and propose a final version. Prioritizing and critical path. 219. What's the latest we can decide without impacting delivery? 220. If we don't decide today, the schedule will probably move. 221. What's the top priority right now? 222. Let's confirm what's most urgent. 223. We may need to deprioritize something to make room. 224. If everything is urgent, nothing is urgent. 225. Let's rank these items by impact. 226. Which deliverable is driving the deadline? 227. What's the critical path here? 228. Let's identify the main blocker. Dependencies and scope. 229. This task depends on the vendor response. 230. We can't start until we have the final requirements. 231. Can we confirm the scope before we estimate? 232. Are we doing the full version or a simplified version? 233. Let's separate must-haves from nice-to-haves. 234. If we cut scope, we can ship sooner. 235. If scope expands, we'll need more time or resources. 236. Let's document changes to avoid scope creep. 237. What's included and what's out of scope? 238. I want to make sure we're not overcommitting. 239. I'd rather underpromise and overdeliver. Timeline and turnaround, 240. Let's choose a timeline we can actually meet. 241. What's the expected turnaround time? 242. How long will the review take on your side? 243. Can we get approval by Thursday? 244. We need sign-off before we can proceed. 245. Once we get approval, we'll start implementation. 246. Let's build in time for testing and quality checks. 247. I'd like a quick risk review before launch. Polite pushback and risk communication, 248. Given current capacity, Tuesday is the earliest we can deliver. 249. Before I commit extra hours, can we confirm the top priority? 250. I can take this on, but I'll need to drop something else. 251. If this is urgent, what should I pause to make room? 252. I can start today, but won't finish until Monday. 253. I can deliver a draft first, then refine based on feedback. 254. Let's agree on a draft and final deadline. 255. Please treat this as a draft, not the final version. 256. I want to be transparent about trade-offs. 257. We're at risk of missing the deadline if approvals slip. 258. I'll flag this as a timeline risk in the tracker. 259. Let's communicate risks early, not last minute. Escalation and support, 260. Can we escalate this to unblock progress? 261. Who can help remove this blocker? 262. I'm requesting support to resolve this quickly. 263. Can you confirm who owns the final decision? 264. I want to make sure the right person is reviewing this. 265. Let's avoid multiple conflicting directions. 266. One clear decision allows us to move faster. 267. I'm aligning with stakeholders before proceeding. 268. I'll send a short summary to confirm alignment. 269. Please reply with any concerns by tomorrow morning. 270. If I don't hear back, I'll assume we're good to proceed. Deliverables and milestones. 271. Let's define deliverables clearly. 272. The deliverables are the final report and slide deck. 273. Milestone 1. Draft review. 274. Milestone 2. Stakeholder sign-off. 275. Milestone 3. Production release. 276. Let's track progress against these milestones. 277. I'll update status every afternoon. 278. Today's status. On track with one open dependency. 279. I'll flag changes as soon as they come up. 280. Please let me know immediately if anything slips. 281. I'm blocked until I receive the data export. 282. Once I have it, I can finish the analysis. Handling delays and exports. 293. If the export is delayed, the report will be delayed. 294. Could you share the export by noon? 295. If noon is not possible, what time can you commit to? 296. Let's agree on a time so we can plan accordingly. 297. I'll adjust my schedule based on your update. 298. Thanks. That helps me plan the rest of the work. 299. I'll confirm the revised timeline in writing. 300. I'll share a final summary with deadlines, owners, and next steps. Status updates. 301. Here's a quick status update on my side. 302. I made progress on the draft and am reviewing comments. 303. Today I'm focusing on remaining high-priority items. 304. I completed the first milestone and started the second. 305. The main deliverable is on track for Friday. 306. I'm slightly behind on one task, but catching up today. 307. I'm blocked on one item and need support to move forward. 308. The blocker is access to the shared folder. 309. If access is restored today, I can finish the analysis. 310. Next, I'll validate the results with the team. 3:11. I'm planning to share a draft for review by tomorrow. 3:12. I'll incorporate feedback and send the final version by Friday. 3:13. I'm tracking progress in the project board. 3:14. I updated the ticket with notes and screenshots. 3:15. I added a clear description of the issue and expected behavior. 3:16. I need confirmation on one requirement before proceeding. 3:17. I'm waiting on a decision from the stakeholder group. 3:18. Once we get the decision, we can finalize the plan. 3:19. I'll keep the scope tight to protect the timeline. 3:20. I'm focusing on the work that drives the most impact. Clarifying requirements and expectations. 321. I reviewed the request and have a few clarifying questions. 322. Can you confirm the target audience for this deliverable? 323. Do you want a detailed report or a concise summary? 324. I can tailor the level of detail based on your preference. 325. To avoid rework, I'd like to confirm expectations up front. 326. I'm aligning with the requirements before starting. 327. I'll share a quick outline for approval. 328. If the outline looks good, I'll move into execution. 329. I'm aiming for a version that's clear and easy to maintain. 330. I'll keep it straightforward unless complexity is necessary. Managing issues and risks. 331. I found an issue that could affect the deadline. 332. The issue is smaller than it sounds, but needs attention. 333. I've identified the root cause and am working on a fix. 334. I'll test the fix and share results today. 335. If the fix fails, I have a backup plan. 336. I'll document the decision so it's easy to reference later. 337. I'm adding this to the risk list for visibility. 338. The risk is manageable if we address it this week. 339. I recommend we tackle this now rather than later. 340. The longer we wait, the harder and more expensive it becomes to fix. Escalation and decision-making. 341. I'm going to escalate this to prevent further delay. 342. I'm escalating because it impacts multiple teams. 343. I'll keep the message factual and action-oriented. 344. I'll propose two options so we can decide quickly. 345. Option 1 is faster but requires more support. 346. Option 2 is slower but uses existing resources. 347. I'm comfortable with either option depending on priority. 348. My recommendation is option 1 if the deadline is firm. 349. If the deadline is flexible, option 2 is safer. 350. Let's confirm what matters most so we can choose the best trade-off. Alignment and acceptance. 351. I want to make sure we're aligned before investing more time. 352. Could you confirm which option you prefer? 353. If you don't have a preference, I can recommend one and proceed. 354. I'll proceed with the safest option unless I hear otherwise. 355. I'd like to confirm the acceptance criteria. 356. What needs to be true for this to be approved? 357. Are there any compliance requirements we should consider? 358. Do we need a review from security or legal? 359. I'll schedule time for a quick review if needed. Checklist and testing. 360. I'll include a checklist so nothing gets missed. 361. I tested the changes and the results look stable. 362. I ran through the main use cases to confirm behavior. 363. I also tested edge cases to reduce risk. 364. I documented the test results in the ticket. 365. I'm ready for someone else to review my changes. 366. Can you take a quick look and approve when you can? 367. If you notice anything off, please comment directly on the ticket. 368. Once approved, I'll merge and deploy. 369. After deployment, I'll monitor for any issues. 370. If anything breaks, I'll revert the change immediately. Managing trade-offs and technical debt. 371. I'd like to flag one concern before we ship. 372. The current approach meets the deadline but adds technical debt. 373. We can accept the debt now and clean it up next sprint. 374. Or we can do it properly now, which will take longer. 375. What's the preferred trade-off from leadership? 376. I can summarize the risks in one paragraph. 377. I'll share the summary so we can decide quickly. 378. If we ship now, we should schedule follow-up work. 379. I'll create a ticket for the cleanup task. 380. I'll set a due date so it doesn't get forgotten. Approval and decision clarity. 381. I'm seeing conflicting feedback from different stakeholders. 382. To avoid confusion, I'd like one clear decision maker. 383. Can we confirm who has final approval? 384. Once we have that, I'll align the work to their direction. 385. I'll share a short decision note for confirmation. 386. Please reply with approval or requested changes. 387. If there's no response by tomorrow, I'll proceed with the documented plan. 388. I want to avoid last-minute surprises. 389. I'd rather confirm now than rework later. 390. Thanks for helping us maintain momentum. Next tasks and safe progress. 391. I'll start the next task while we wait for approval. 392. That way, we keep progress moving without unnecessary risk. 393. I'll avoid work that could be wasted if the decision changes. 394. I'll focus on tasks that are safe regardless of direction. 395. I'll share another update once I complete the next milestone. 396. If anything changes, I'll communicate immediately. 397. I appreciate the quick responses. They really help. 398. Let's keep updates concise and action-focused. 399. I'll send a brief recap with owners and deadlines. 400. Thanks everyone. Getting aligned now will save time later. Collaboration and feedback. 401. Thanks for jumping in to help with this. 402. I really appreciate the support. 403. Could you take a quick look and share your feedback? 404. When you have time, can you sanity check my approach? 405. I'd value your perspective on this. 406. Can we align on the goal before debating details? 407. I want to make sure we're solving the right problem. 408. Let's confirm our shared understanding. 409. Here's what I think we're trying to achieve. 410. Does that match your understanding? 411. I may be missing something, so please challenge my assumptions. 412. If you disagree, I'd rather hear it now. 413. Let's surface concerns early while we still have options. 414. I'm open to changing the plan if the data points elsewhere. 415. Can you walk me through your reasoning? 416. Help me understand what's driving your recommendation. 417. What trade-offs are you prioritizing? 418. If we choose this option, what do we give up? 419. What risks should we plan for? 420. Let's openly list the risks before we decide. 421. I think we're aligned on the outcome, but not the approach. 422. That's okay. We can work through it. 423. Let's focus on facts and keep it objective. 424. I don't want this to become personal. 425. Can we agree on criteria for a good decision? 426. If we agree on criteria, the decision becomes easier. 427. Let's document the criteria so we're consistent. 428. I'll write up a short decision note for the team. 429. I'll keep it brief and action-oriented. For 30, I'll share the note for review before we finalize. For 31, can you review this by tomorrow morning? For 32, if tomorrow is tight, what timing works for you? For 33, I can adjust my plan based on your availability. For 34, I'd rather get a quick yes or no than silence. For 35, if you're not sure, tell me what you need to decide. For 36, what information would make this decision easier? For 37, if we need more data, we should define exactly what to measure. For 38, let's avoid analysis paralysis. For 39, we can start with a small experiment and learn fast. Pilot and results. 440. I propose we run a pilot and review results next week. For 41, I can own the pilot setup if you support the review. For 42, would you validate the results with me? For 43, I'll share a simple dashboard to track progress. For 44, I'll keep everyone posted as results come in. Clarifying feedback. 445. For now, can we confirm who needs to be involved? For 46, do we need input from finance or legal? For 47, I want to avoid surprises from stakeholders later. For 48, let's loop them in early for alignment. For 49, I'll reach out briefly to gather their feedback. For 50, could you be more specific about what you'd like changed? For 51, if you can point to an example, I can match it. For 52, what does better look like in this context? For 53, are you looking for more detail or more clarity? For 54, if you tell me the priority, I can revise faster. For 55, I'll address the high-priority comments first. For 56, I'll respond to each comment so it's clear what changed. For 57, if I disagree with a comment, I'll explain why. For 58, I'm not ignoring it. I want to discuss the trade-off. For 59, let's resolve this one point together. For 60, thanks for the candid feedback, it helps. For 61, I know it's not always easy to give direct input. For 62, I'm taking this seriously and will adjust accordingly. For 63, I've updated the draft based on your notes. For 64, please check the revised section and confirm it works. For 65, if it looks good, I'll apply the same style to the rest. For 66, I'm happy to iterate, but I want to avoid endless cycles. For 67, can we agree on a final review deadline? For 68, after that, we'll consider it approved unless flagged. For 69, I'll mark the document as final once we get sign-off. Smooth handoffs and collaboration. 470. I want to make sure this handoff is smooth. For 71, here's what you need from me to continue. For 72, here are the files, links, and access details. For 73, let me know if anything is missing. For 74, I'll stay available for questions during the transition. For 75, if you run into issues, message me and I'll respond quickly. For 76, I'll also add notes in the tracker for context. For 77, this should reduce back and forth and save time. For 78, thanks for partnering with us on this. For 79, I appreciate the cross-team collaboration. For 80, we should align on communication channels. For 81, for urgent issues, please message me directly. For 82, for non-urgent updates, the project thread is fine. For 83, let's keep decisions in writing to avoid confusion. For 84, I'll summarize decisions after each meeting. For 85, if you think my summary is off, please correct it. For 86, I want the record to be accurate. For 87, let's make sure everyone has the same information. For 88, this will help us move faster and reduce rework. For 89, I'm confident we can deliver if we stay aligned. For 90, if you're overloaded, I can help take work off your plate. For 91, tell me what's most urgent right now. For 92, if you delegate one thing, what should it be? For 93, I can take a first pass and you can refine it. For 94, that way, you only review instead of starting from 0. For 95, I'll keep the quality bar high. For 96, I'll ask questions early so I don't waste your time. For 97, thanks again, I know you're juggling a lot. For 98, let's keep momentum and finish strong. For 99, we're aligned on the plan and I'll move this forward today. Calls and remote work, 500. Thanks for joining the call. 501, I can hear you, but your audio is a little choppy. 502, do you mind repeating that last sentence? 503, your mic is cutting in and out. 504, it might help if you turn off your camera for a moment. 505, I'm going to switch to headphones. 506, I'll rejoin if I get disconnected. 507, there seems to be a slight delay, so we may talk over each other. 508, let's do a quick audio check before we start. 509, if you're speaking, please unmute. 510, I think you're on mute. 511, I can see your screen, but the text is too small. Could you zoom in a bit? 512, can you share the link in the chat as well? 513, I'm having trouble accessing that file. 514, it says I don't have permission. Can you grant access or share an alternate link? 515, I'll take notes and send a summary after the call. 516, let's keep questions until the end, unless something is urgent. 517, I'd like to make sure we stay on time. 518, we have 10 minutes left, so let's focus on decisions. 519, to keep us moving, I'll propose a next step. 520, if anyone disagrees, please speak up now. 521, I want to make sure quieter voices are included. 522, if you haven't spoken yet, I'd love your input. Time zone and participation, 527. Let's hear from the team in Asia first given the time zone. 528, thanks for joining late at night. I appreciate it. 529, we'll keep the remaining items short out of respect for time. 530, if we can't resolve it now, we'll handle it asynchronously. 531, let's confirm the decision and move on. 532, the decision is to proceed with the revised timeline. 533, we'll keep the scope limited to must-have. Features. 534, we'll revisit nice-to-haves after launch. 535, I'll document that in the meeting notes. 536, I'm adding an action item for follow-up. 537, who can own that task? 538, what's a reasonable due date? 539, please message me if you can't meet the due date. 540, I'll schedule a follow-up and send the invite shortly. Meeting recap and notes. 541. Let's do a quick recap before we end. 542. First, we agreed on the scope. 543. Second, we confirmed deadlines and milestones. 544. Third, we assigned owners for each action item. 545. If I missed anything, please correct me now. 546. I'll send the notes within an hour. 547. Please reply if anything is inaccurate. 548. I'll assume the notes are correct unless I hear otherwise. 549. Before we close, are there any major risks we haven't discussed? 550. Let's end with a single clear action for today. Remote call management. 551. I'll stay on for 2 minutes in case anyone has a quick question. 552. If you need a deeper discussion, let's schedule time separately. 553. I'd rather not solve this in a rushed way at the end. 554. Thanks again everyone for your time and collaboration. 555. I'm going to drop from the call now. 556. Can you send me the recording when it's ready? 557. Please share the final deck after you update it. 558. I'll review it and add comments by tomorrow. 559. If you need feedback sooner, please tell me. 560. If it's urgent, I can move it to the top of my list. Time zones and scheduling. 561. Let's be mindful of time zones when scheduling the next meeting. 562. What time works for everyone across regions? 563. Could we rotate meeting times to share the burden? 564. I don't want the same team to always take late calls. 565. If you can't attend live, please send your input in advance. 566. We'll make decisions live, but document them clearly. 567. I'll share the decisions and action items right after. 568. If you disagree, please raise it quickly. 569. It's easier to adjust early than after work starts. 570. If this isn't your area, please loop in the correct owner. Approvals and ownership. 571. I want to be respectful, but I need a clear answer today. 572. Is this approved or do you need changes first? 573. If you need changes, please list them specifically. 574. If you're not the approver, who should we contact? 575. We're losing time waiting for unclear ownership. 576. Let's confirm who is responsible for final sign-off. 577. Once we have that, we can move quickly. 578. I'll send a short message to confirm ownership. 579. Please respond with a name so we don't guess. 580. I'll proceed as soon as we confirm the owner. Decisions and timeline management. 581. I'm going to summarize this in one sentence. 582. We need approval today to keep the deadline. 583. If approval slips, the release date will move. 584. I'm not trying to pressure anyone, but the timeline is tight. 585. Can we agree on a firm response time? 586. If you can't respond today, what's the earliest you can respond? 587. I'll update the plan based on your response time. 588. Thanks. That clarity helps us plan the work. 589. I'll communicate the updated plan to the wider team. 590. I'll keep it concise so everyone understands the plan. 591. If anything changes, please message me directly. 592. I'd rather be notified immediately than find out later. 593. I'll adjust quickly if I have early warning. 594. If there's a problem, let's focus on solutions. 595. We can stay calm and still move fast. 596. I'll propose 2 options so we can decide quickly. 597. Option A delivers sooner, but with higher risk. 598. Option B reduces risk, but needs more time. 599. Please tell me which option you prefer and why. 600. Thanks for the clear direction. I'll execute and share an update soon. Client meetings and expectation setting. Opening and goals. 601. Thanks for meeting with us today. 602. I appreciate the opportunity to discuss your goals. 603. Before we dive in, could you share your top priority? 604. What would a successful outcome look like for you? 605. I want to make sure we understand your expectations. Scope and timeline clarity. 606. Here's what we can deliver within the current scope. 607. Here's what would be considered out of scope. 608. To avoid surprises, I'll outline the timeline clearly. 609. We can start as soon as we have written approval. 610. Based on what you shared, I recommend this approach. 611. Let me summarize what I heard to confirm we're aligned. 612. Your main goals are speed, reliability, and clear reporting. 613. We can meet those goals with a phased rollout. 614. Phase 1 covers the essentials, and Phase 2 adds enhancements. 615. This reduces risk while keeping momentum. 616. If you prefer a single launch, we can do that as well. 617. The trade-off is a longer timeline and higher complexity. 618. I want to be transparent about trade-offs up front. 619. Do you have any constraints we should factor in? 620. Are there any non-negotiables we need to respect? Approval and communication. 621. Who will be the primary point of contact on your side? 622. Who will provide final approval before we proceed? 623. If approvals are delayed, the delivery date will shift. 624. We'll keep you informed early if we see any risk. 625. I'll send a clear recap after this call. 626. It will include scope, timeline, pricing, and next steps. 627. If anything looks off, please reply and we'll correct it. 628. We want this to be easy to work with and easy to maintain. 629. We'll keep communication simple and consistent. 630. If anything is confusing, let us know right away. Decision and feedback timeline. 631. Let's align on the decision timeline so we can plan resources. 632. When do you need to make a decision by? 633. If you decide this week, we can hold the current schedule. 634. If the decision slips, we may need to adjust start dates. 635. I'd rather set realistic expectations than overpromise. 636. We can move quickly, but we don't want to cut corners. 637. Quality is part of the deliverable, not an extra. 638. We'll also plan time for review and revisions. 639. Typically, we include 2 rounds of revisions. 640. If you need additional rounds, we can scope that separately. 641. Could you share any examples of what you like? 642. If you have a reference, we can match the style and tone. 643. If you don't have examples, we can propose a direction. 644. We'll start with a draft, then refine based on feedback. 645. The faster we get feedback, the faster we can finalize. 646. If feedback is delayed, the delivery date will move. 647. I'll send polite reminders, but we'll need timely input. 648. We want to avoid last-minute changes right before launch. 649. If changes come late, we may need to adjust the timeline. 650. To protect quality, we'll document changes in writing. Proposal walkthrough and options. 651. If you're comfortable, we can walk through the proposal together. 652. I'll highlight the key sections and answer questions live. 653. The proposal includes deliverables, timeline, and pricing. 654. It also includes assumptions, so expectations are clear. 655. If any assumption is incorrect, we should update it now. 656. I'd rather adjust the plan early than renegotiate later. 657. For pricing, we offer 2 options based on scope. 658. Option A is a standard package with fixed deliverables. 659. Option B is more flexible and supports ongoing changes. 660. If cost is the priority, we can scale back scope to fit the budget. 661. If timeline is the main concern, we can add resources. 662. Adding resources increases cost, but shortens delivery time. 663. We can also prioritize a smaller first release. 664. That lets you see value sooner while we build the rest. 665. Many clients choose that approach to reduce risk. 666. If you need everything at once, we can do it with a longer plan. 667. Let's decide based on what matters most right now. 668. Do you want speed, lower cost, or maximum scope? 669. We can optimize for 2, but rarely all 3. 670. I want to confirm whether we're prioritizing speed, cost, or scope. Scheduling and check-ins. 671. If you have internal deadlines, please share them. 672. We can plan around your events and reporting cycles. 673. Are there any critical dates we should avoid? 674. If your team is out next week, we should factor that in. 675. We can adjust the schedule to match your availability. 676. We'll also set up a regular check-in to stay aligned. 677. Weekly check-ins work well for most projects. 678. If weekly is too frequent, we can do bi-weekly updates. 679. For urgent topics, we'll message you immediately. Proactive problem solving and risk awareness. 680. If there's an issue, we'll bring options, not just problems. Another way, if something goes wrong, we'll bring solutions and options. I want to address one potential concern proactively. The biggest risk is delayed approvals, not the build itself. If we keep approvals moving, delivery will be smooth. We'll make approvals easy with clear, simple choices. We'll avoid long documents when a short summary works. I'll propose decisions in a way that's easy to answer. For example, option A or option B with clear trade-offs. If you'd like, we can also provide a one-page executive summary. That helps leadership approve quickly. If your stakeholders want more detail, we can set up a deeper review. If you have concerns about price, tell me what range you had in mind. If we know your target, we can design the right scope. I don't want to sell you more than you need. I want to recommend what will actually work for your situation. If we can't meet the budget with the current scope, we'll be honest. We can propose a smaller phase one to fit constraints. Then we can expand later when you see results. That approach keeps risk low and shows value quickly. If you're ready, I'll send the final proposal for signature. Once it's signed, we'll schedule kickoff and begin immediately. Another way, after signature, we'll book kickoff and start right away. Addressing issues calmly and respectfully. 701. I'd like to address this directly so it doesn't linger. 702. I want to be respectful and clear at the same time. 703. Can we talk about what happened and how to prevent it? 704. My goal is to solve the issue, not assign blame. 705. Let's focus on what we can control going forward. 706. I take accountability for my part in this. 707. Here's what I could have done differently. 708. Here's what I'll do next time to avoid the same problem. Clarifying expectations and priorities. 709. I also need clarity on expectations so I can deliver. 710. Can you confirm what good looks like for this task? Another way, could you define what success looks like for this task? If priorities have changed, please tell me explicitly. I can adapt quickly if I know what changed. I want to avoid working on the wrong thing. Can we align on the top priority for this week? If everything is urgent, I need help ranking it. I can take this on, but I can't take everything on. I want to set a realistic commitment I can keep. If you need a faster timeline, we'll need more resources. If resources can't change, the timeline has to. I'm raising this early so we have room to adjust. Another way, I'm flagging this now so we can adjust before it's too late. Mitigating risk and suggesting alternatives. 721. I want to clarify one concern about the current plan. 722. The plan works on paper, but it may not work in practice. 723. I'm worried it creates risk we don't need. 724. If we keep this approach, we should add a mitigation step. 725. I can propose a safer alternative that still meets the goal. 726. Would you be open to a small change to reduce risk? 727. I'm not trying to slow things down. I'm trying to protect quality. 728. I'd rather have a hard conversation now than a crisis later. 729. If we ship this as is, we may create more work next month. 730. I recommend we address the root cause, not just the symptom. Another way, I suggest we fix the underlying issue, not just the surface problem. Giving feedback respectfully. 731. I'd like to give you some feedback if you're open to it. 732. My intent is to help, not criticize. 733. When deadlines shift without notice, it creates confusion downstream. 7:34, if you can flag changes earlier, it helps everyone plan. 7:35, I'm sharing this because I want us to work smoothly together. 7:36, on the positive side, your responsiveness has been great. 7:37, it makes a big difference when you reply quickly. 7:38, I'd love to keep that strength and add more predictability. 7:39, what do you need from me to make that easier? 7:40, I'm open to feedback as well, so please share it. Another way, I welcome feedback too, so please tell me what I can improve. Performance conversations 7:41. I want to address a performance issue with care and clarity. 7:42. The output isn't meeting the expected standard right now. 7:43. Let's talk about what's getting in the way. 7:44. Is it a workload issue, a clarity issue, or a skill gap? 7:45. If we identify the cause, we can fix it faster. 7:46. I'm willing to support you, but we need to see improvement. 7:47. Let's agree on clear expectations and a short timeline. 7:48. I'll define the deliverables and the review cadence. Disagreeing respectfully 7:49. I see it differently, and I'd like to explain my reasoning. Another way, I have a different view, and I'd like to share the reasoning behind it. I want to make sure we're deciding based on facts, not assumptions. Can we look at the data together before we finalize? Next line continues from here. Professionalism under pressure, accountability and risk management continued. Data-driven decision-making and risk mitigation 7:54. A small test now can prevent a big mistake later. 7:55. I'm comfortable committing once we confirm the key variables. 7:56. If we proceed without clarity, we increase risk. 7:57. I'd rather move slightly slower than move fast in the wrong direction. 7:58. Let's confirm alignment with the stakeholders who will be impacted. 7:59. I'll send a short note to confirm expectations. 7:60. If there's no objection by tomorrow, I'll proceed with the plan. Another way, if I don't hear concerns by tomorrow, I'll move forward with the plan. I want to raise a concern and I'm bringing a solution too. The concern is the timeline and the solution is a smaller first release. That way we deliver value sooner and reduce risk. If leadership needs everything at once, we'll need a revised schedule. I can present both options and their trade-offs. Tell me which constraint is fixed, time, cost, or scope. Once we know the constraint, the decision becomes clearer. I'll document the decision and communicate it consistently. Consistency matters more than perfection in communication. I want to make sure we're all telling the same story. Another way, I want us to communicate a single consistent message. Transparency and escalation 7:71. If a mistake happens, I'll report it quickly and propose a fix. 7:72. I won't hide problems because that makes them worse. 7:73. I'll share what happened, the impact, and the next steps. 7:74. I'll also share how we'll prevent it in the future. 7:75. If I need help, I'll ask early rather than struggle silently. 7:76. I'd rather escalate early than miss the deadline quietly. 7:77. I'm escalating this because it affects delivery and customer trust. 7:78. I'll keep the escalation factual and focused on actions. 7:79. I'll propose a clear ask, not a vague complaint. 7:80. What I need right now is a decision by end of day. Another way, the key need right now is a decision before close of business. Setting professional standards and boundaries 7:81. I want to set expectations for how we'll work together. 7:82. I'll communicate proactively and share risks early. 7:83. I'll keep updates short, clear, and consistent. 7:84. If I commit to a deadline, I'll protect it. 7:85. If I can't meet a deadline, I'll flag it immediately with options. 786. I'll treat everyone with respect, even under pressure. 787. I'll be direct, but I'll stay professional. 788. I'll focus on outcomes, not ego. 789. If there's conflict, I'll bring it back to the goal. 790. We can disagree and still collaborate effectively. Another way, we can have different opinions and still work well together. Clarifying priorities and communication. 791. I'd like to understand your priorities so I can support them. 792. What's most important to you this quarter? 793. What would you like me to own end to end? 794. Where do you want me to be more proactive? 795. If you want fewer updates, I can consolidate them. 796. If you want more detail, I can provide it in writing. 797. I'll adapt my communication style to what works best for you. 798. My goal is to make your job easier, not harder. 799. Thanks for the clarity. It helps me deliver better work. 800. I'll follow through on this and confirm progress by tomorrow. Another way, I'll take ownership and share a progress update by tomorrow. Client negotiations and high-stakes conversations. I'd like to talk through the pricing and make sure it matches the scope. Can we revisit the timeline and confirm what's realistic? If we need a faster delivery, we'll need to adjust the budget or scope. Let's align on what's fixed and what's flexible. What's the most important outcome for you, speed or cost? If we prioritize speed, the cost will increase. If we prioritize cost, the timeline will extend. We can also reduce scope to fit both time and budget. I can propose two options so you can choose quickly. Option 1 is a smaller scope with a faster delivery. Another way, Option 1 is a leaner scope that ships sooner. Option 2 is the full scope with a longer timeline. I want to be transparent so there are no surprises later. If this doesn't fit your budget, we can redesign the scope. What budget range are you working within? If you share a range, I can tailor a realistic proposal. I want to make sure you're paying for what you truly need. If this is a long-term partnership, we can phase the work. A phased plan reduces risk and shows value sooner. Client negotiations and polite pushback, 819 to 870. Delivering options and managing expectations, 819. We can deliver a first version quickly, then iterate. 820. Just to confirm, you want two pricing options to compare. 821. If you need a discount, we can discuss a reduced scope. 822. I'm open to flexibility, but I want to keep the quality high. 823. I can't commit to that price for the full scope as written. 824. What I can do is offer a smaller package at that price. 825. If we remove a few features, we can meet your target. 826. If those features are required, we'll need to adjust the budget. 827. Let's choose the option that fits your priorities best. 828. If you decide today, we can reserve a start date. Another way, if you decide later, the start date may shift based on capacity. I want to be fair and realistic about scheduling. Another way, I want to set expectations clearly about availability. Could you share the decision timeline on your side? Who else needs to approve this before we move forward? If multiple people need approval, we should plan extra time. I'd like to avoid last-minute changes after approval. If changes come after sign-off, we'll need a change request. A change request helps us track scope and protect the timeline. We'll treat changes respectfully, but we'll document them. That keeps things clear for everyone involved. If you're unsure about something, let's clarify it now. I can walk you through it live or summarize it in writing. Another way, I can answer questions now or provide a written summary. Polite pushback and capacity management, 841. I want to say no to the wrong request, not no to you. 842. I can't approve that as is, but I can suggest an alternative. 8:43, I'm not able to take this on this week due to existing commitments. 8:44, if it's urgent, I can help you find someone with capacity. 8:45, if it can wait, I can schedule it for next week. 8:46, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. 8:47, if I commit, I want to be confident I can meet it. 8:48, I can support this, but I need a clearer definition of done. 8:49, once we define done, I can estimate accurately. 8:50, I'm happy to help, but we need to reset expectations on timing. Another way, I can help, but we need to adjust the timeline expectations. If you need this today, I'll need to pause other work. Which task should I deprioritize to make room? If you confirm the priority, I'll adjust my schedule. I can deliver a draft today, but the final version will be tomorrow. I can deliver the core content first, then polish later. That way, you can review the substance early. If the substance is approved, we can refine the details quickly. Confirming priorities and trade-offs. 8:58. I want to confirm we're aligned before I invest more time. 8:59. Can you confirm the top 3 requirements? 8:60. If we align on the top 3 needs, I can execute quickly. 8:61. Let's talk about trade-offs so we make the right decision. 8:62. The trade-off is speed versus thoroughness. 8:63. If we move fast, we accept more risk. 8:64. If we reduce risk, we need more time. 8:65. I'd like your guidance on which trade-off to choose. 8:66. If you want my recommendation, I'd choose the safer path. 8:67. If the deadline is immovable, I'll support the faster option. 8:68. Either way, I'll document the decision and the rationale. 8:69. That way the team stays aligned later. 8:70. If priorities shift, we can revisit the decision with the reasoning documented. Clarifying goals and expectations. 871 to 880. I'd like to ask a quick question about your expectations. What does a great outcome look like from your perspective? Are you aiming for a quick win or a long-term solution? If it's a quick win, we should keep scope tight. If it's long-term, we should invest in a scalable approach. I can support either, but the plan will be different. Let's choose the approach that fits the business goal. If we align on the goal, the details become easier. I'll send a 1-paragraph summary of the agreed goal. Please respond approved or tell me what to change. Another way, please reply approved or add changes directly. Professional small talk for building trust. 881 to 890. Now let's switch to small talk that builds trust at work. I want it to feel natural, not forced. How's your week going so far? How have things been on your side? How's the workload this week? I hope your day is going smoothly. Thanks for your time today. I know you're busy. Where are you calling in from today? How's the weather where you are? I heard there was a holiday recently. How was it? Another way, I heard you had a holiday recently. Did you get to relax? Professional small talk and positive reinforcement. 891 to 900. I like your setup. It looks very professional. That was a great point in the meeting. Thanks for sharing it. I appreciated your clarity on the timeline. It's been great working with you on this. I'm looking forward to collaborating more closely. If you ever need support, feel free to reach out. I'll do my best to respond quickly. I'd love to hear how your team usually handles this process. What's been working well for you lately? Thanks for the context. It really helps me support you better. Another way, thank you for the background. It helps me support you more effectively. Leadership and decision-making. 901 to 950. I'd like to align on the goal before we choose tactics. What decision do we need to make today? What information do we need to make that decision confidently? If we don't have that information, what's the fastest way to get it? Let's confirm the problem statement in 1 sentence. What's the business impact if we solve this? What's the cost if we don't solve it? Who will be impacted most by this change? Let's identify the key stakeholders early. I'll propose a decision and you can challenge it if needed. Another way, I'll suggest a decision and you can push back if you disagree. If we're aligned on the goal, I can execute quickly. I'm comfortable making the call if you want me to own it. If you prefer to decide, I'll support whatever you choose. To move forward, we need one clear owner. If ownership is unclear, decisions will stall. Let's assign a single decision maker for speed and clarity. We can gather input widely but decide narrowly. I'll capture input and summarize it objectively. I'll highlight the trade-offs so the decision is straightforward. I recommend we choose the option with the lowest long-term risk. Another way, my recommendation is the option that minimizes long-term risk. If speed is the priority, we can accept a controlled level of risk. If quality is the priority, we should add more review time. If cost is the priority, we may need to reduce scope. We can optimize for two, but not all three at once. What constraint is fixed? Time, budget, or scope? Once we confirm the constraint, the path becomes clear. I'll adjust the plan to match the constraint. I'll communicate the plan in one clean summary. I'll include what's changing, why, and what happens next. I'll make sure the message is consistent across teams. Another way, I'll ensure every team hears the same clear message. Let's anticipate questions and address them up front. If someone asks why, we should have a simple answer ready. If someone asks when, we should provide a realistic date. If someone asks who, we should confirm ownership immediately. If someone asks how, we should share the approach and risks. I'll write a short FAQ to reduce repeated questions. That will save time and reduce confusion. I'll keep leadership updates brief and outcome-focused. I'll avoid overloading details unless someone requests them. I'll share the key metrics we're tracking. Another way, I'll share the core metrics we'll use to measure success. We're on track and the main risk is approvals. We're slightly behind and the main risk is capacity. We're blocked and need leadership support to unblock. If we don't unblock today, the schedule will move. I'm raising this now so we can protect the deadline. I'm not escalating to blame anyone. I'm escalating to solve it. Here's the exact ask I need from you. A decision today will unblock 3 downstream tasks. If you approve, I'll execute immediately. If you don't approve, please tell me what to change. Another way, if it's not approved, please tell me specifically what needs to change. Prioritization and performance alignment, 951 to 961. I'd like to align on priorities for the rest of the week. What do you want me to focus on first? What should I pause to make room for this? I can deliver faster if we simplify the requirements. If we keep the requirements, we should extend the deadline. I don't want to commit to an unrealistic plan. I'd rather commit to something we can actually deliver. I'll track progress and share updates at a steady cadence. If something changes, I'll flag it immediately with options. I'll provide a recommendation, not just a status report. Another way, I'll share a recommendation along with the status. I want to make sure we're aligned on expectations for quality. Ownership, delegation, and clear expectations, 962 to 974. What level of polish do you need for the first version? Do you want a quick draft or a near-final deliverable? If it's a draft, I'll prioritize speed and clarity. If it's near final, I'll add more review and refinement. I can do either, but I need the expectations stated clearly. I'll confirm the expectation in writing to avoid confusion. If we disagree later, we'll reference what we agreed to. I'll keep the decision log updated for transparency. If questions come up later, we'll have a clear written record. I'd like to delegate this to someone who can own it end to end. I'll remain available, but I don't need to be in every detail. I trust you to make the call within these guidelines. If you hit a blocker, bring it early, not at the last minute. Decision-making and communication, 975 to 980. If you need approval, tell me exactly what you're asking. If you need input, bring options with pros and cons. I'll respond faster when the ask is clear. Let's keep decisions tight and execution fast. I'll protect your focus time by keeping meetings purposeful. If there's no decision to make, we should reconsider the meeting. Team motivation and risk management, 981 to 990. I want to recognize the work the team has done so far. The progress is strong and the direction is clear. Let's keep momentum and finish the final stretch carefully. If you're stuck, ask early and we'll help unblock. If you're overloaded, flag it and we'll rebalance work. I'd rather adjust scope than burn out the team. Sustainable pace is part of good leadership. Let's be direct, respectful, and focused on outcomes. We can disagree, but we should stay aligned on the goal. I'll summarize the plan in one sentence so it's easy to repeat. Another way, I'll capture the plan in a single sentence that everyone can repeat. Execution and iteration, 991 to 1000. The plan is to ship the core version, then iterate with feedback. We'll measure results, learn quickly, and improve step by step. If the results are strong, we'll expand scope next cycle. If the results are weak, we'll adjust the approach immediately. We're not aiming for perfect on day one. We're aiming for progress. I'll keep communication clear, calm, and consistent. I'll make sure every stakeholder knows what to expect. If you need a summary, I can give it in 30 seconds. Thanks for the trust. I'll take ownership and deliver. 1000. I'll follow up today with a concise plan, owners, and deadlines. Another way, I'll send a short follow-up today with the plan, owners, and due dates. Goal setting and personal development, 1001 to 1036. I'd like to discuss my goals for this quarter. Can we align on what success looks like for my role? What are the top outcomes you want from me right now? Where would you like me to be more proactive? I want to make sure my work is aligned with team priorities. Could we set 2 or 3 measurable goals? I'd like clear metrics so I can track progress. What would you consider a strong result by the end of the month? I'm open to stretching, but I want expectations to be realistic. I'd like feedback on what I'm doing well and what I should improve. Another way, I'd appreciate feedback on my strengths and improvement areas. I'm looking for 1 or 2 high-impact areas to focus on. What's the biggest skill you want me to develop next? Are there projects that would help me grow faster? I'd like to take on more ownership if there's an opportunity. If you trust me with this, I'll deliver and keep you updated. I want to improve how I communicate status and risks. If you notice gaps, please tell me directly. I learn fastest when feedback is specific. Can you share an example of what excellent looks like here? I'd like to understand how performance is evaluated on this team. Another way, can you explain how performance is measured for this role? What does a strong performer do differently in this role? What behaviors are most valued by leadership? Are there any common mistakes I should avoid? I want to be consistent and reliable, not just occasionally strong. If something isn't working, I'd rather hear it early. I can adjust quickly when I have clear input. If priorities shift, please let me know as soon as possible. I'd like to avoid surprises in my review. Can we schedule a short monthly check-in on progress? I want to make sure we're aligned on my responsibilities. Another way, I want to confirm we agree on what I'm responsible for. Some of my tasks feel ambiguous, so clarity would help. What decisions can I make independently? What decisions should I escalate to you? If I'm unsure, I'll bring options rather than open-ended questions. I'll include a recommendation and the trade-offs. I want to build trust by making sound decisions. Career growth and professional development, 1037 to 1050. If I make a mistake, I'll own it and fix it quickly. I won't hide issues or shift blame. I'm committed to continuous improvement. I'd like to request support for professional development. Another way, I'd like to discuss development opportunities and support. Is there a training budget available for this team? Would you support me attending a workshop or certification? If budget is tight, I can learn through stretch projects. I'd also value mentoring from someone more experienced. Could you suggest someone I could learn from? I'm happy to do the work. I just want guidance on direction. I'd like to practice presenting more often. If there's a chance to present, please consider me. I'd like to discuss my growth path and what the next level requires. Another way, I'd like to understand what it takes to reach the next level. Quick check for career growth moments. Ask for a promotion conversation. I'd like to discuss my growth path and what the next level requires. Ask for clear evaluation criteria. Could we set 2 or 3 measurable goals? Ask for feedback that helps you improve fast. I learn fastest when feedback is specific. Promotion and career progression, 1051 to 1060. What specific results would demonstrate readiness for the next level? What gaps should I close before we revisit this? Can we agree on a timeline to review progress? I'm not asking for anything immediately. I'm asking for clarity. If I hit the targets, I'd like us to revisit the conversation. I want to be transparent about my career goals. I'm committed to this team and I want to grow here. If there are concerns, I'd like to address them directly. I'm open to a plan that's fair and measurable. Thank you for taking the time to talk this through. Another way, thanks for discussing this with me. I appreciate it. Budgeting and approvals, 1061 to 1090. Do we have budget allocated for this request? If not, what's the process to request additional budget? I want to confirm the cost before we commit. Can you share a rough estimate for the total cost? What's included in that estimate? And what's excluded? Are there ongoing costs we should plan for? We should consider maintenance and support, not just delivery. If budget is the constraint, we can propose a lower cost alternative. I'll prepare options at different price points. Another way, I'll put together a few options across different budget levels. We need approval before we can proceed. Who has authority to approve this spend? What's the approval timeline typically like? If approval takes 2 weeks, we should adjust the schedule now. I'd rather set expectations early than miss a date later. Once approved, we can start immediately. If approval is delayed, we'll lose the slot on the calendar. Can we confirm whether this is a must-have or a nice-to-have? If it's a nice-to-have, we can queue it for later. If it's a must-have, we should prioritize it in the roadmap. Another way, if it's essential, we should move it to the top of the roadmap. I'll update the plan to reflect the budget decision. I'll communicate the impact on timeline and scope. If we reduce cost, we may need to reduce features. If we keep features, we may need more time or more budget. Let's choose the trade-off intentionally, not by accident. I'll capture the decision in writing for clarity. If the decision changes later, we'll document the reason. That way, we maintain a clear record for stakeholders. I'll share a short summary that leadership can forward easily. I'll keep the summary simple with no unnecessary detail. Another way, I'll keep it concise so it's easy to share and approve. Compliance and security, 1091 to 1100. Let's make sure we follow compliance and security requirements. Does this involve sensitive customer data? If it does, we need a security review before launch. We should confirm access controls and data retention rules. Who can approve the security requirements? I'll schedule a review with the security team if needed. I'd rather be cautious now than deal with a compliance issue later. If we're unsure, we should ask and document the answer. I'll include compliance checkpoints in the project plan. We'll treat security as a requirement, not an afterthought. Another way, we'll handle security as a core requirement, not a last-minute add-on. Onboarding and early work, 1101 to 1121. Welcome aboard. We're glad to have you on the team. I'll walk you through the basics so you can get started quickly. Here's a quick overview of how we work day to day. If anything is unclear, Please ask right away. There are no bad questions during onboarding. I'll share the key documents and where to find them. This link has the team wiki and standard processes. These are the tools we use most often. Your first priority is to get access to the systems you need. If you hit an access issue, message me and I'll help unblock it. Another way, if you run into access problems, let me know and I'll help resolve them. Let's confirm your accounts are set up correctly. Do you have access to email, chat, and the shared drive? Can you open the project board and view the backlog? I'll introduce you to the stakeholders you'll work with most. We'll start with a small task so you can learn our workflow. The goal is progress, not perfection in your first week. I'd rather you ask early than guess and redo work later. I'll review your first deliverable quickly and give clear feedback. We'll align on expectations before you take larger ownership. For your first deliverable, focus on clarity and completeness. Another way, for the first task, aim for clear, complete work over speed. Here's how we write updates so everyone stays aligned. Updates and communication, 11:22 to 11:30. A good update includes status, risks, and the next step. If you're blocked, say what you need and by when. If you're unsure, bring options and a recommendation. We prefer decisions in writing so they're easy to reference. If you make a decision, document the rationale briefly. If something changes, notify the team before it becomes urgent. We value proactive communication more than perfect forecasting. We also value respectful disagreement and data-driven decisions. If you disagree, explain your reasoning and propose an alternative. Another way, if you disagree, share the reasoning and suggest another option. Interviews and hiring conversations, 11:31 to 11:50. Thanks for taking the time to speak with me today. I'm excited to learn more about the role and the team. Could you describe what success looks like in the first 90 days? What are the most important priorities for this position? What challenges is the team trying to solve right now? How does the team measure performance and impact? What does a typical week look like in this role? What skills are most important for someone to do well here? Could you share how the team collaborates across time zones? Another way, can you explain how the team works together across time zones? I'd like to share a quick example of a similar problem I solved. In that project, I aligned stakeholders, clarified scope, and shipped on time. I'm comfortable owning work end-to-end from planning to delivery. I communicate risks early and propose solutions. I focus on outcomes, not just tasks. I also value documentation so decisions are clear later. If I don't know something, I ask and learn quickly. I'm open to feedback and I iterate fast. Do you have any concerns about my background that I can address? I'm happy to answer any questions you have about my experience. Another way, I'm glad to clarify anything about my experience or background. Quick check for interviews. Ask what success looks like. Could you describe what success looks like in the first 90 days? Show your working style. I communicate risks early and propose solutions. Address concerns confidently. Do you have any concerns about my background that I can address? Interview process and next steps, 11:51 to 11:57. What are the next steps in the interview process? What's the expected timeline for a decision? If helpful, I can share references or work samples. Thank you again for your time. I enjoyed the conversation. I'm very interested in the role and I'd love to move forward. Please let me know if you need anything else from me. I'll follow up by email with a brief thank you note. Handoffs and wrap UPS, 11:58 to 11:81. I want to make sure this transition is smooth and low risk. Here's the current status and what remains to be done. Another way, here's where things stand and what's left to complete. These are the key files, links, and dashboards you'll need. This document explains the decisions we made and why. These are the open questions we haven't resolved yet. These are the known risks and how we're mitigating them. This is the timeline including milestones and deadlines. These are the stakeholders to keep informed. This is the preferred communication channel for urgent issues. I'll stay available for questions for the next 2 weeks. If something urgent comes up, message me directly. If it's not urgent, add it to the tracker and tag me. Another way, for non-urgent items, log it in the tracker and tag me. I want to close the loop on this request. The work is complete and the final version has been shared. The final files are in the shared folder under the release label. I updated the documentation so it's easy to maintain. I also added notes about what we learned during the process. If we do this again, we can reuse this template. I'd like to schedule a short retrospective to capture improvements. What worked well and what should we change next time? I want to make future execution faster and smoother. Thanks for everyone's effort and collaboration on this. Another way, thank you all for the work and partnership on this. Another skill that matters is ending conversations professionally. Ending work conversations professionally, 1182 to 1200. I don't want to take more of your time, so I'll be brief. I'll summarize the decision and send it in writing. If you agree, please reply with approval so we can proceed. If you want changes, please list them clearly. Once I have your response, I'll take action immediately. Thanks again. I appreciate the quick turnaround. I'll keep you posted as soon as there's an update. If there's nothing else, I'll let you get back to your day. Have a good rest of your day. Another way, if that's everything, I'll let you get back to your day. We're almost done. And these final lines will help you sound confident in any workplace wrap-up. To confirm, we agreed on the scope, timeline, and owner. I'll send a recap with action items right after this. Please reply if anything in the recap is inaccurate. If I don't hear back, I'll proceed with the documented plan. I'll deliver the next update by end of day tomorrow. If we hit a risk, I'll flag it early with options. Thanks for the clarity. It helps me execute effectively. I'll take ownership and follow through. I appreciate the collaboration, and I'll close this out cleanly. Another way, thanks for working through this with me. I'll wrap it up and close it out properly.